Good evening, folks. Deb Delapiana, and this is your short take. So let's talk about Iowa. So, as we know, Donald Trump won the Iowa caucuses last night. Should be no surprise, considering the fact that the Republican Party is full of impotent little men who, half of who, more than half of who are paying fealty to a wannabe dictator, and the rest of them are remaining silent to save their sad, sorry ass skins in their seat. And the rest of them are all turning tail and running and writing books. So that's where the Republican Party is right now. It is no longer a legitimate political entity. All right. The MAGA takeover is complete. But let's talk about Iowa. So, I've heard all of the lamestream media prognostications. It was a landslide. It was a strong win. Donald Trump showed how strong he is, blah, blah, blah. The mainstream media is talking about this election like it's just another election in the cycle. None of them are acknowledging that we have the equivalent of Adolf Hitler, Jair Bolsonaro, Viktor Orban, Vladimir Putin actually running for the presidency of the United States. Okay. They're too busy sticking their head up their ass and talking like this is just another election. Because honestly, look at the field Donald Trump has had to compete with. Ron DeSantis, Chris Christie, Vivek Ramaswamy, Nikki Haley, Asa Hutchinson, and a guy whose name I can't even remember. All right. The party turned itself over to Donald Trump way back at the beginning of this whole monstrosity in 2016. Okay. It's over. But let me make you one thing clear. Last night, weather notwithstanding, I understand it was stormy there. Somewhere between 110,000 and 150, 105,000 people showed up at this thing. Okay. As opposed to 186,657 in 2016, 121,503 in 2012, and 119,207 in 2008. Okay. And I believe 51% of the caucus goers gave it to Trump, but that means that 49% of the people who attended this caucus in Iowa on a stormy night gave the rest of that percentage to the losers. And the only losers who were Republicans that were still in this race at the time were Vivek Ramaswamy, Ron DeSantis, and Nikki Haley. Nikki Haley's now the new great white hope of the Republican Party. She is going fucking nowhere, okay? Nikki Haley has already shown exactly who she is when she said that she would not go to the next debate unless Donald Trump debated. He's not debating. He hasn't debated in any of the other debates. The chances of him now showing up at the next Republican debate is fucking next to remote. It's not going to happen. So the debate's been canceled. So, oops, here we go. The shit show is on. Look, let's talk about this. We have a fascist dictator running for the presidency. And the mainstream media is talking about him like he's, I don't know, John McCain or even George W. Bush. This guy is so far afield from them that people should be totally frightened. Now, let's talk about something else. This is something else I'm seeing everywhere. All of a sudden, Donald Trump waves to the camera. He's got some sores in his hand. And now all of the internet influencers, and yes, I'm talking about the people on the left, by the way, are all out there knowing because they're doctors or they've consulted someone who knows what those sores look like. Now it's secondary syphilis. Donald Trump has secondary syphilis. So here we are. I guess treason, inciting an insurrection, trying to pass off fake electors, storming the Capitol trying to overthrow the government, being convicted as a rapist in the E. Jean Carroll case, about to lose his shirt in New York over his white-collar crime. A man who hangs around with Vladimir Putin and Viktor Orban. A man who spends his days advocating for violence against his political opponents, judges, district attorneys, and even law clerks. I guess that's not rotten enough for you. We got to figure out if he's got syphilis. Was that going to keep him off the ballot? Donald Trump didn't care about being in a room with a bunch of people without a mask on when he had COVID. He was happy to spread the wealth. Do you fucking think he's not going to be on the ballot if he has syphilis? Do you think that makes him any worse a person if he has syphilis? I would say that's keeping right in character with Donald Trump. But why we have to focus on shit like that when what we really should be talking about is authoritarian rule and all the other evil, rotten shit he does every single day of his life. But instead, we're all out there on X or Twitter, and I'm talking about internet influencers and politicos talking about whether Donald Trump has secondary syphilis. Who gives a shit whether he has secondary syphilis? He's still alive, and he's still a fascist, and he's still a criminal, and he's still the front runner in the GOP. And if you think that getting syphilis is going to keep him off the ballot, you're out of your minds. And honestly, folks, I'm not sure that I'm fully understanding this. You wouldn't have a problem voting against him if he was a traitor, but you'd have more of a problem voting for him if he had syphilis. I'm trying to figure this whole thing out. Personally, I think it's once again American voyeurism. You know, like we love reality TV. We like believing that the Kardashians really do have it together. We really like to believe that the Beverly Hills housewives are actually real housewives and that's not all staged. We love reality TV. How about the 1,000-pound sisters? This is the kind of shit that Americans get caught up in. You know, the Jeffrey Epstein files. Who gives a shit? He's fucking dead. And the files prove nothing. But we can spend our time wasting, we can waste some of our time there while we're waiting for the election. Wake up, okay? Wake up. We have a long way to go here. Our focus is not worrying about the judges and the courts and the trials. They're coming. Okay? But justice doesn't move quickly. Not anywhere. And, you know, all of these legal steps that lead up to the trial are going to be used by Donald Trump to delay. That's all he's doing. So in the meantime, I suggest to you, stop waiting for the courts to take him out of the race. Just plan on getting the vote out and keeping him out of the White House. Why wouldn't you want to be able to say that the people defeated Donald Trump? That's our job between now and November. Mobilize the forces, get out, and get rid of this scumbag. I'll talk to you all later.